What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review of AEW Revolution. As you guys can tell, I just finished up the show. The 60-minute Iron Man match had just ended as I am recording this video. And oh my god, that was the greatest Iron Man match I have ever seen. You might say this is recency bias talk because, we've had some great Iron Man matches beforehand, like, Sasha Banks and Bayley's Iron Woman match about the Takeover Respect, I think it was. And that's about the only one I can remember off the top of my head at this current moment, man. But, wasn't there an Iron Man match between Johnny and Adam Cole, actually? Or was that a 2 out of 3 falls match? 3 stages of hell type thing. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, man, you guys get the point. This match is incredible, man, and, yeah. What a match. Honestly, like, I had expected MJF to win this one. We all knew MJF was going to win this match and go into Double or Nothing. But no lie, there were times where I wanted D. Bryan to win, and I thought he was. There were times where I legitimately thought D. Bryan was going to win the title, man. He was going to win the belt, but, yeah, man. MJF and D. Bryan put out, honestly, probably one of the greatest wrestling matches I've ever seen, man. Like, if I ever do a full-on top 10 list, and I limit how many times takeover matches can show up, because otherwise it'd probably be the entire list, this one would probably make the cut, man. This would probably make the cut, but yeah, the rest of the show in itself, it was also fantastic as well. Of course, you had the trios match, you had the casket match, or the buried alive match between Christian and Jungle Boy. That was fantastic. Of course, the Texas Death match was also incredible as well, man. And yeah, honestly, guys, there's a part of me that wants to give this show a 10 out of 10. Based off the strength of the Iron Man match. I don't know if I will, man. I guess I'll find out as we proceed through this review, man. But yeah, let's just jump right in, man. Like, lot to talk about here, man. Good lord. So first off was Ricky Starks versus Y2J. Overall, this was a good match, really good match, and a great way over to start the show. Obviously, due to Ricky Starks' injury, that was the predominant focus for Chris Jericho, obviously tagging the ribs. You had him, you had this, I don't know if this was like a botch or this was just Ricky just selling his ribs, where, when like Ric Flair would do that thing where he like runs into like one of the corners and he like rolls over the turnbuckles onto the outside and kind of like, gets back in, that whole thing he does? Well, Ricky tried to do that, but he did it, but he ended up being a little bit slower. It kind of took him a little bit to, get over the turnbuckles, over the top rope to the outside. Like I said, I don't know, I couldn't tell if that was like maybe like a botch, like maybe Ricky was able to get fully complete, or it was just him selling. It could have been a mixture of both. But either way, you had that, but then Chris would come in there and hit the and go off the second rope, hit a drop kick. Two rings started leading him out, putting him down the apron before Chris Jericho would then run to do a baseball slide to yeet him out of the ring. You also had, like obviously I mentioned before, the ribs were obviously taken. You had one other spot where Ricky went to go for a spear, but he ended up getting hit but ended up getting countered into the code breaker. That spot looked really cool. You had Chris Jericho lock in the walls of Jericho. Then eventually, Ricky Starks got out of that, made to put in a single leg crab. Eventually, Sammy G, of course, got involved in the match, or at least he was about to before. The guy that Chris has been kind of involved with storyline that beat Chris Jericho, I forget his name. He was in there. He stopped Sammy G before he can do anything, but he left enough distraction for Chris Jericho to use Floyd. And eventually, he actually went for the juice fit, but Ricky Starks was actually able to block it, which I'm pretty sure the first time I'm pretty sure they also mentioned this on commentary. Which Speaking of which, one thing I have to mention about commentary is, why is JR like not doing the entire show? Like, why was he only doing? I don't know if this has been mentioned before. On like, there's some reasoning behind this. If this was mentioned previously on some other AEW show, or this on AEW or whatever the fuck, and I just missed this. But like, why is JR only doing commentary for like the first like couple of matches? He was like only there for like the first half of the show. Then he was gone. I was like, all right, boys, I'll see you later. Tony Schiavone's gonna take over now. But it's like, if we're limiting JR's minutes for whatever reason, why wouldn't you want him commentating the main event? Like, wouldn't you want him doing the main event because it's the main event? That 60-minute Iron Man match. Like, the commentary was great throughout the entire night. Don't get me wrong, but like, if you have Jr. there, for that 60-minute Iron Man match, I feel that could have maybe like, add a little bit extra to the match. You know what I mean? But whatever the case, that's something I've noticed. That's something I've noticed with a lot of the AEW shows. I don't know if I mentioned this before in previous videos, but yeah, I thought that was. I just think that was kind of felt like, did I miss something or something? I don't know. Whatever. Tangent aside, the comments. You had like I believe it was Excalibur on commentary mentioned how no one be able to counter it like that, and then eventually Ricky Starks would able to hit the spear, and I gotta say, Ricky Starks is a beautiful spearman. That spear he hits, man, beautiful. But anyway, he then goes in for it. We get a near fall for that one. Eventually, as the match progresses on, he like breaks and he gets rid of the juice effects, and then this match continues on. He eventually hits his finisher to get the 1, 2, 3. Overall, really good match, man, and a great way to start the show, man. And I really enjoyed this match. It was a really good match, man. So yeah, next up we had was the Buried Alive match. It was more or less just like a casket match and a Buried Alive match kind of mixed together between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, man. I gotta say, first and foremost, Christian's outfit, man. My God, what? So when you think of a street fight, you think of someone dressing up, or at least in a similar type of match like this one is. You would expect someone to wear, street clothes, which is what Jungle Boy did. He wore boots, a tank top, some jeans. What you expect? Christian comes out in a tank topified turtleneck. He literally came out in a turtleneck with just the sleeves cut off. Bro, when I saw this, I'm like, bro, what? Why is Christian? I know the man loves his turtlenecks, man. We've seen this on Dynamite, man, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in previous AEW reviews, but I have to say it again, man. Christian's heel run he's been on, man, with Jungle Boy has been an absolute work of art, man. It has been beautiful, man. You obviously know he learned from the best, of course, being, very close friends with Edge, man. He obviously learned from the best, but yeah, Christian as a heel, man, absolutely killing it, man. He was, I've been loving his heel work he's been doing recently, since, this whole feud with Jungle Boy started, man, and it's just been incredible, man. But yeah, so he came out, so this man comes out in a fucking turtleneck, man. Of course, there's "fuck you, Christian" chants going on, man, because of course there are, man, because he's Christian Cage. He can come out here in a turtleneck, bro. I'm like, bro, I know you love your turtlenecks, bro, but why are you coming out here? Why are you dressed like this, bro? I just thought that was really funny. I wonder if that was any harder or better to like work a match in a turtleneck versus just a regular shirt. I wonder, man. But whatever the case may be, this match was awesome, man. I absolutely love this match, man. Anyway, the match starts off fast and furious. They're going after each other, man. They eventually go out to the outside, fighting the crowds. They go back in. Christian tries to get away, and they realize he's heading towards the coffee. He's like, fuck that shit. He gets in there. Then Jungle Boy picks him up, tries to get him in there, but they keep going at it. They eventually get back in the ring, only to eventually... this spot looked really nasty, though, where Jungle Boy was on top of the steps, and he had Christian's arm out on the steps, ready to step on it, because that's how he injured his arm. And right as he did it, Christian manages to move his arm out of the way and then swipe at Jungle Boy's feet, making him land right on the steel. Although it almost ended badly for Jungle Boy, because when Christian swept his feet and he slipped and he fell down, he damn near hit the I don't know if he actually did or not, but it looked like he hit his back had directly hit the edge of the top step when he landed there. It looked pretty nasty, honestly. So then after that, that's when Christian actually takes off Jungle Boy's belt, and then he just starts whipping him like he's a slave. I'm sorry, I had to, bro. So he's whipping at him with the belt, man. He says some words to Jungle Boy's sister, and he blows her a kiss as well earlier on the match. He then keeps whipping him as they walk over to the casket, man. They eventually get there. We also found that the extra have a concerto cam, which honestly the camera angle itself looks pretty nice, man. I actually wrote to that angle. But so they eventually get out there. They keep battling, and now Christian goes by the coffin. He opens it up. There's 2 steel chairs in there, because of course there are. So Christian tries to use them. He sets one up ready to hit the kill switch on the chairs when it's in its standing position, but Jungle Boy pushes him off to the outside, off the ramp, and then Jungle Boy does a flip over the ramp onto Christian. That spot looked pretty cool as well. They keep going at it, man. Eventually Jungle Boy does hit Christian with a concerto, and bro, the bend on that chair, dog. Oh my God, bro. How that chair bent after he hit the concerto, bro. That shit looked nasty, bro. That thing was bent to shit, man. It was quite the visual, man. It was quite the visual, seeing how bent the chair was. So eventually, or not Christian, Christian's out of this. Jungle Boy throws Christian into the coffin, slams it shut, and then the coffin just like yeets downward, man. It just drops down, man. So yeah, Jungle Boy wins the match. Obviously, this seems to be like the blow off of this feud, man. Definitely very excited to see what's next for Christian, man. I've been loving this heel gimmick he's been on, man. And yeah, this was a fantastic match, man. I absolutely loved it. Next up, we had the trios title match between the Elite and the House of Black. And this match was fantastic, man. This match was a lot of fun, a lot of crazy spots in this one. So the match started off with Kenny Omega and Buddy Murphy going at. They go out for a while. Eventually, I want to say it was Matt Jackson gets in there, and I think he was talking to Aleister Black, although it might have been Buddy Murphy. I can't remember specifically, but he's like telling like, "Oh, I want Brody King. I want Brody King," and I believe, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Aleister's like, "You want him?" He's like, "Okay." Tags him in. Matt's then like, yeah, Nick, and Nick's like, fam, I don't want this smoke. You on your own, fam. So he backs away. They kind of go out. Eventually, does of course help out his brother and does get the tag in eventually, man. So they go out, man. A lot of crazy spots. This one, like you had, I believe it was Matt going, spiking Buddy Murphy in the inside, rolling backwards back onto the apron of the ring, and then does like a moonsault onto Aleister Black. That looked fucking cool, man. You also had them eventually hit the Meltzer driver, but Buddy Murphy then like counters in, just sort of like he knees, I believe it was Matt Jackson right in the face as he goes for like, as he jumps off the top rope about the Meltzer driver, if I can speak today. Which also looks pretty sick as well. Julia Hart took a V-trigger, which was pretty insane to see. Brody King hit a suicide dive, which I did not know he could do. So, yeah, there's that. I'm like, you could not pay me to take that. There's another time where I believe it was one of the Bucks. It might have been Matt Jackson as well. I think it might have actually been Kenny now I think about it. Was sitting in a chair by the barricade, which I also got to say, I love how AEW's changing the look of the barricade now. I don't know if they're actually like using a straight up like different barricade compared to what they usually are, which is like, like those use like steel, like the steel, like a regular like steel gate thing they've been using, and they just threw a tarp over it. I don't know if they changed the actual like barricade itself, and they just changed the outside of it to make it look nicer. But regardless of, man, I love the new look of the barricade that they had for tonight, man. Thought it looked really good, man. I like the look of it. But anyway, Kenny is sitting there, or might be one of the Bucks. Which also, I love when Kenny hit Julia Hart with the feature. I was like, but anyway, so he's sitting by the chair. Well, he's sitting in the chair by a barricade. And Brody King just runs towards him and hits him with a crossbody, which looked really, and like the barricade like bends too, man. It looked pretty sick, man. Eventually, you also had like the Bucks and Kenny working together, hitting like stereo super kicks, a BET trigger, but eventually, with Dante's Inferno, the House of Black wins the match and becomes your new Trios champion, man. Overall, fantastic match. A lot of amazing spots this one, man. And yeah, this was an amazing match, man. And I'm definitely curious what they're going to do with it, what's going to be up with the House of Black. Now I have the Trios title with the Bucks, or what I should say, the Elite no longer having. I'm curious that means Kenny's going back to maybe back to a singles guy, and the Bucks will be going back to the singles tag division, man. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that, man. But overall, man, this was a fantastic match, man. I loved it. Next was the women's triple threat between Paige, Jamie Hayter, and Ruby Soho. First up, we gotta say this right now, bro. While I was watching the match, more specifically Paige's entrance, I have to say something. Oh my god, Paige is hot as fuck. I gotta say, bro, I was watching her and I'm like, damn, she fine, bro. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not saying the grab it. Not to diminish Drew. Not to say nothing about Jamie. She a baddie too, bro. But Paige, bro. I mean, come on, bro. Yeah, anyway, enough of me simping about Paige and also showing some love for Jamie Hayter as well. She's a baddie too, man. But anyway, man, so yeah, the match itself, like I said, I don't know. Anyway, this was an overall great match, and I thought could have been an amazing match if it was a bit longer. That's like my only problem I have with this match, is I wish it was longer. Because it feels like they were just about to hit that second gear, and then, the match ended. But I wish this match went on for another, like, maybe 5 minutes or so, man. I do wish the match was a little bit longer, man. That's about my only problem with this one. So there was a lot of really cool stuff in this match as well, where you actually had when Paige was out there on the outside, Ruby would do like a diving like a drop kick from the second rope onto Paige. That looked really cool, man. That was a pretty cool spot. You got Paige getting ping pong between Ruby Soho and Jamie Hayter with forearms. The three women exchanging forearms with each other. That was a pretty cool spot as well. Then Paige just says, "Stop!" Ow! That's what I know. I don't know. I think she says "ow." I'm not sure. All I heard was her screaming as she like kind of like looks like she was covering hers, but she might have just been grabbing her face just because of the forearm, which was pretty funny. But then they all just start wailing down on Paige, which is pretty funny, man. So yeah, that was pretty fun. That was a pretty funny spot. But eventually, Paige would also lock in the PTO, but that would end up getting kicked by Jamie Hayter. Rampage a couple times, never always got. Of course, those were some near falls. An interesting views with Jamie Hayter, Ruby. This is a really cool spot. They thought looked really cool, where Jamie and Ruby were going at it. Ruby gets Jamie down to her knees and then hits a Hurricane Rana from there, and it looked really cool, man. I love the way how she hit that Hurricane Rana. It looked really nice, man. But anyway, there's another spot that I thought looked really interesting where Jamie was going to hit a clothesline on Ruby, but then somehow Paige got in the middle of them, and Paige ended up taking the clothesline. That one looked pretty cool as well. But anyway, eventually Jamie would win the match with a roll up to get the 1, 2, 3. Honestly, that's why I was kind of felt the match was a little short, because when I was watching the match, I was like 1, 2. I was expecting Ruby to kick out of that. I was expecting that match to kick out that little roll, but no, that ended up winning the match. Oh, another thing that I thought was pretty funny, where eventually Toni Storm would get involved, where she would be like on the apron, causing a distraction for Paige to lock in the Rampage, if I remember correctly. But then, like right when she was about to go for the pin, then Britt gets up on the apron on the other side and starts causing distraction. But Paige tries to get her down, but Britt manages to get a couple shots in there to take her out. So yeah, that was a pretty funny spot as well. That I thought was pretty funny. But anyway, Jamie wins the match. Instantly, Toni Storm is pissed off. She's attacking everybody, and eventually, Ruby Soho does make her allegiances known, where she is with the outside. She is now teaming up with Paige and Toni Storm, which makes sense since she's also an ex-WWE girl that Vince never saw any value in, But Triple H's like, but I mean, to be fair, I was never that big on the Riot Squad. But she's a pretty good wrestler, but I was never that big on the Riot Squad. You guys know me, I'm a Liv guy. Liv's my girl, man. But yeah, so yeah. Obviously, there's been still people have been wondering, like, oh, are we going to see who else could join the outside? Are we going to see maybe Mandy Rose come in there and join them? Or, of course, the big one is Sasha. If we're going to see Mercedes Money, is she going to make a return here in AEW? Is she going to come in there, join them? That'll be cool, too. I'm not going to get my hopes up about Sasha coming in over to AEW to join Paige's little stable. I'm not getting my hopes up. If it happens, it happens. Cool, awesome. That's going to be amazing. But I'm not holding my breath for Sasha making a return for her debut in AEW to join this group. Honestly, I feel like you asked me between two. I think there's a much bigger likelihood for Mandy to come in there and join the group. Although I think Mandy even said, I want to say I saw this on Twitter when she was on Renee Young's podcast, that she's in like no rush to get back into wrestling. Like, I think she said that she's open to coming back, but I think she said she's like in no rush at the curb because her OnlyFans is doing so well, or whatever the site she's using that's like a similar site to OnlyFans, man. Bro, that woman is making mad bread off that shit, bro. I mean, shout out to I'm pretty sure she's making 6 figures off that site, man. I mean, good for her, man. Good for Mandy, man. But yeah, anyway, if you ask me, I think there's more likelihood of Mandy Rose coming in there to join this group rather than Sasha. But hey, if we get Sasha, man, that's going to be awesome, man. That's going to be amazing. But anyway, this was a great match. I wish it was longer, though, because I feel these women could have gone a little bit longer. Probably would have given this match to the next year to make this an amazing women's triple threat match for the title, man. But either way, man, this was a great match. I really enjoyed it. Next was the Texas Death Match between Jon Moxley and Hangman Page. Jesus Christ, man, this match was fucking incredible. I think out of all the death matches we've gotten in AEW, which I think we've gotten 3 at this point, I think. This one was probably my favorite of the 3, man. You guys know I mentioned this in like the previous times we have had death matches on AEW shows that I obviously can enjoy a death match. You know, you guys know me. If you guys are long-time viewers of the channel, you guys know I love me some gore, my horror movies, and just in general, whenever there is gore, I am a happy man. And if it isn't wrestling, because, you know, this ain't fiction. So yeah, you guys know I enjoy my gore. The more gore, the better in terms of my horror movies, man. I can obviously appreciate I appreciate what the wrestlings are, what the wrestling are, but it's not my preferred type of wrestling, man. I'd rather not my pro wrestling when I'm watching pro wrestling, thinking I'm about to witness a murder. You know what I mean? But of course, like always, man, apparently there's people bitching like, oh my god, why is there so much blood and shit. It's like, ugh, whatever. Either way, man, this match was incredible, man. I'm not even gonna bother trying to recap this because I know I won't be able to do this match justice. I'm just gonna talk about a handful of my favorite spots, man, whichever ones I can remember, man, because there's so much to say. Like, so you had, of course, the raking of and John Moxley like scratching against Hangman's back. That one looked really cool, man. Hangman would do it as well to John Moxley. John would use barbed wire and do that, man. You have, of course, him stabbing Hangman with a fucking fork, and blood is spewing everywhere, man. Oh my god, the blood in this match, man. You got Hangman wrapping himself with barbed wire, doing a fucking moonsault, man. There's you of course got the boards with the barbed wire on them spots, man. Those look pretty cool, man. Yeah, so you have that as well, man. One spot that I was really nervous about, that was kind of scary looking, that I thought was going to be way worse than it was when John had like 2 steel chairs right next to each other from the backs of them, so the backs of them were touching, back to back. They were right there. He put some barbed wire on top of the top part of the chairs, not the seats themselves, the actual like back support of the chairs, and he put some barbed wire in there, and he lifted and he had Hangman up, I believe, in a power bomb position. And I'm thinking he's going to, or I don't know if John or if Hangman countered the move into this powerbomb, or there was ever kind of, and Hangman always had him up in the powerbomb position. Whatever the case may be, either John or Hangman got him up in the powerbomb, he countered into his own powerbomb, whatever, or like I mentioned before, whatever, or if Hangman just had the powerbomb ready. Either way, I thought that John or Hangman was gonna hit John with a powerbomb on top of the the heads of the steel chair, because there's barbed wire on top of it. I'm thinking, oh, he has barbed wire, he's gonna hit him right on the back, on the tops of the chairs, right into John's spine. I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like cringing right before it even happened, because I'm thinking like, Jesus Christ, his back's gonna be fucked. But instead, he ends up hitting a last right on the seat of one of the chairs, man. It still looked nasty. I mean, the chair was completely bent over, obviously, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, thank God. I was also a little relieved when it wasn't that he did that Heyman didn't just throw him at the top of the chair, because it looked like that's what he was planning to do, man, or Moxley was. Either way, so yeah, that was pretty insane, man. That was a pretty insane spot, man. What the fuck else was there that I could talk about, man? Like I said, there was so much batshit insane spots, man, in this match, man. Yeah, I already mentioned the chairs, I already mentioned the raking, I already mentioned the scratch in the back, looked pretty insane. The fucking fork. He did that literally multiple times in the match. It was just like him just stabbing him with the fork, man. But anyway, Hangman win this match by literally hanging John Moxley with a fucking belt. Oh yeah, right. How could I forget, man? John Moxley hits a fucking curb stomp on cinder blocks. A shout out to Seth, I guess, which I thought was pretty funny, man. The curve stomp actually looked pretty good too, man. It actually looked pretty good too. I would probably say his curve stomp's a little bit better than Britt's curve stomp, if you ask me, man. You also have Mox actually using the cinder block itself as a weapon to hit Hangman. I believe he even used it to try to crush his hand under it, man. A lot of insane shit, man. When I saw the cinder blocks, I'm like, bruh. But anyway, like I said, Hangman would literally hang John Moxley to win the match, because he would tap out and win the match via submission, which was kind of surprising, man. I honestly thought he was gonna pass out or something. I didn't think Mox would actually tap out, but yeah. So yeah, phenomenal match, man. I did not do this match justice whatsoever, man, but yeah, this was easily the second best match on the card, man. My god, this match was incredible. Next up was Samoa Joe and Wardlow. This was another great match as well. You of course have Samoa Joe doing his suicide dive, which I've mentioned this countless times in my NXT reviews when he was back in NXT, and of course the main roster when he was still there in WWE. You could not pay me to take a suicide dive from Samoa Joe. I always love that move he does when he's in the corner and someone comes running towards him, and he grabs at them and then just slams them down the ground, man. Always love that move, man. Wardlow hits a swanton bomb off the top rope. Absolutely looked beautiful, man. And then eventually Wardlow would lock in the Coquilla clutch after literally leaping onto his back like 2011 Dolph Ziggler into his own Karafuda clutch, and would eventually have Samoa Joe pass out to win the title, man. Great match. I really had a lot of fun with this one, man. This obviously this was definitely like the death spot of the match of the card for them because how great the death match was. So obviously the crowd wasn't really super into this one, man, which kind of feels bad for Wardlow, man. But yeah, I also was kind of expecting Joe to retain the title, but Wardlow is once again TNT champion. Is he gonna be a transitional champion? He's gonna just be giving the belt off to Hobbs. I was slipping on his name, Hobbs, or is he gonna keep the belt for a bit? We'll have to wait and see on that. But overall, a good match. Then we had the triple threat tag match. This was a good match overall. It was a fun match. There's a lot of cool spots. This one, I love that during when Max Cat does his usual freestyle, he said Jeff Jarrett forgot to see Alice. That one was pretty funny, but yeah. Anyway, the Guns won the match, and yeah, nothing really to say about this one match. It's there wasn't that much more, but yeah, overall it was a fun match, but yeah, nothing too crazy, man. And plus, it's really late right now, and I got school tomorrow. Anyway, that brings us to, of course, the main event between MJF and Daniel Bryan. Like with the death match, I'm not even gonna try to recap this. I'm gonna just tell y'all some of my favorite spots of the match. Because, yeah, this was a 60-minute Iron Man match, and there was so much batshit insanity with it. So the match started off with D. Bryan obviously being, the superior wrestler, and that was the whole thing with this feud was built on with D. Bryan and about him in many Iron Man matches and being a far superior technical wrestler. That was a lot of what D. Bryan showed his expertise. Which also I gotta say, I have been loving the promos between MJF and D. Bryan this entire feud, man. MJF lore has to be the most fascinating thing right now going on in pro wrestling. This man has 6 different origins at this point, with his fiance leaving him, his little thing with Liv, and the Camaro, bro. It's crazy, man. I don't know how MJ comes up with this shit, man. He's like the Joker, If I have to have an origin, I want it to be multiple choice, bro. So you have that. Then there's later on the match where they're when I think it was D. Bryan gets a roll up, but then MJF counters into his own roll up, and they literally just start rolling all over the ring like they're doing a freaking spin dash. Then later on they do the same thing, but this time it's with with a power up to you where their legs D. Bryan or MJF's legs are up there, and MJF and D. Bryan has his arms on top of this that pain position after you hit a power bomb or something, where they were doing that, but then doing that all over the freaking ring, bro. I was watching this being my God, this is fucking madness, man. Then of course with MJF on the outside, burning clock, and then where he said, oh, does this mean, am I gonna get to deduct a star mark or Dave? Excuse me. Referring to Dave Meltzer and his stars, man. Oh my God. I don't know when Dave Meltzer drops his score for the matches on this card. I don't know if he's done it already. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the Wrestling Observer like that. But all I say is this match better at the very least have 5 stars, man. For that one line alone, Dave Meltzer better have given this match 5 stars. At the very least. If you ask me, this should get 7 stars, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Anyway, so you had that, of course, him also throwing the water on the kid's face. That one was pretty fun. I actually didn't see that live. I must have been tweeting when that happened because I didn't see it. I had to go look for it on Twitter after the show was done to find that clip. But you had that. Eventually, D. Bryan would get the first fall. He with the running knee, and then MJF. This was actually a little confusing, but obviously this made more sense when commentary explained it. because it's an Iron match, DQs and countouts, that's all still a thing. Where MJF goes for it, hits a low blow on D. Bryan. Mind you, where the ref sees him completely, he gets disqualified, meaning D. Bryan still up 2 falls to 0. But due to that low blow, MJF manages to get 2 falls back to back on D. Bryan. I was also kind of shocked when he went for one pin and then instantly went for another. And I wonder if this was done on purpose because I believe it was Tony Schiavone when it was like Tony Schiavone mentioned on commentary that there are no stops. They don't like have any respite between falls. It like just keeps going, man. And like it was like literally a few minutes after he said that, that's when MJF does this double fall thing, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. To quote Nigel McGuinness, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I saw them and I was like, that's brilliant. It's like same thing with Grayson Waller at NXT Deadlock. If you guys remember that, if you guys remember him when he got those like 2 falls in a row during that match. So that was pretty cool, man. That was pretty ingenious. From there, these two just go at it for another like 40 some odd minutes. You have a tombstone pile driver off the apron, I think it was. You have him hitting an elbow. You have MJF hitting an elbow drop on D. Bryan on the table on the timekeeper's area, Shawn Michaels style, even doing like the little that little flex that HBK would always do. Then picks D. Bryan up, hits a tombstone pile driver on like the part of the table that wasn't completely broken off to break it even further. MJF sells his knee for the majority of this match as that kind of got messed up with him, man. D. Bryan would resurrect the Yes movement. Oh my God, bro, when D. Bryan legitimately was setting up the running knee, and he started doing the yes chants, bro. I lost my damn mind. I was doing that, bro. And instantly I was transported back to 2014, watching WrestleMania 30, and him doing the same thing. Yes, bro. I was losing my goddamn mind, man. And then once they start really dramatizing the match and really dragging this out, man, with the match around the end of it, where they're like, I think at this point they're like tied 3-3. I think is what they were at this time, if I remember correctly. And and D. Bryan has MJF locked in a submission, and they're like the seconds are ticking down. 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. I'm like, yo, is he gonna tap? What's gonna happen, man? And MJF grabs the rope, but then starts tapping instantly. But by that point, the time had already elapsed, so that did not count. And yeah, man, that whole section around the end of the match, man. Oh my God, that was incredible, man. I was literally on the edge of my seat watching the clock go down, bro. It was insane, bro. So at this point, they announced the match to be a draw, which I was like, damn it, because at this point, I was expecting the match just to go into sudden death immediately. I was hoping for sudden death. I was like, but at this point, but when they didn't announce it, they said that, oh, it's a tie, MJF retains, fuck you. I was like, okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense. MJF doesn't lose a title, and D. Bryan looks good in defeat. Fine, whatever. I'll live with this decision, even though I was hoping for sudden death, and of course the crowd wanted it too. But then Tony Schiavone got a call from like Tony Khan in his headset, and that's when it was announced that they would be going into sudden death, which I was obviously excited for. They continue on. These two just keep beating the shit out of each other. Submission holds, and there was one where D. Bryan, of course, was having a submission, and he's like crawling over there, but then MJF starts grabbing his other limb so he can't get to the ropes, but D. Bryan manages to get it anyway, and then eventually MJF would win the match after, of course, using using the oxygen tank after the match had originally ended, because they were trying to resuscitate these two, like they were just they just got murdered, man. And the EMTs are trying to resuscitate them too. I thought that was pretty funny when they bought the oxygen tank. Speaking of oxygen tanks, one thing I also thought was interesting in this match is that they really sell the whole thing about how MJF hasn't been in this sort of situation, because throughout the entire match, D. Bryan never looks winded or exhausted. The man looks good. Oh my God, that reminds me of another spot where these two, when D. Bryan was like laughing at MJF around the end of the match, and they were like just like hitting each other with forearms and everything, bro. Oh my God. Oh my God, that was incredible, bro. Oh, that whole section. And anyway, as I was saying, the entire match, D. Bryan looks like he's not even half empty on his gas tank. Well, MJF goes back to the outside to grab some water like 3 or 4 times throughout the match. And then, I didn't even know this. This is something that Taz mentioned on commentary, where he shouldn't be drinking water. He should, at best, he only should be rinsing himself due to, Dude, the fact that that drinking water fills up your stomach and only makes you more tired, I didn't know that. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Speaking of tiredness, bro, when the fuck did MJF start bleeding like Eddie Guerrero in that match with JBL? Like literally, bro, I don't know if MJF was bleeding beforehand in this match before this, but after D Bryan hits the diving headbutt, MJF has a full crimson mask on. I'm like, bro, when did you start bleeding? Like, he literally looked like Eddie Guerrero in that match he had with JBL in like 2004. Like, what was it? No Way Out? That like he had with, I think that's how JBL won the WWE Championship, if I remember correctly. But he straight up looked like Eddie in that match. Man, I was like, bro, when did you start bleeding this much? The fuck? Like, when did this happen? What did I miss? You know, that was pretty insane as well, man. But yeah. Eventually, MJ after that, MJ would also try to use a diamond in my diamond ring, would not work. And then you would use the title, but that didn't work. Another time when D Bryan had him in like a Boston Crab, and then MJ had the dynamite diamond ring on his finger, and then the ref just straight up like pulled it off of him. that was pretty funny as well. But anyway, MJ would win this match with the LeBell Lock and having D Bryan pass out, man. Oh, no, I think he actually tapped out, if I remember correctly. He actually tapped out to the LeBell Lock, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. MJF won the match, man, and honestly, probably ended up being maybe the best match of this year, maybe at least gonna be the top 3 best matches of this year. Easily, this is the best Revolution we have gotten just from the strength of this match, man. Like, no questions asked about that, man. This is probably, and honestly, probably the best Iron Man match that I have ever seen, man. This match was absolutely incredible. D Bryan killed it, MJF killed it, man. And I think at this point, whatever doubt if you guys have about how good of a wrestler MJF is, I think we can all agree after this match he is a phenomenal wrestler, man, in his own right, man. Going 60 minutes with D Bryan, man. It's fucking incredible, man. Anyway, it's like 3 in the morning right now. I gotta go. I got class tomorrow, man, so I'm gonna end this here, man, or yes, today I should say, rather. But anyway, guys, that's where this video off. Overall, I was originally thinking about giving this show a 9.5 out of 10, but fuck it. I'm giving AEW Revolution this year a 10 out of fucking 10, ladies and gentlemen, just for the main event, man. The main event was that fucking good. Of course, also the Texas Death Match as well. Anyway, guys, let's get the video off. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my socials if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.